and let's hear Max's story.
Thanks, Mark. Actually, I'm gonna share a screen. I have prepared a short presentation. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so my topic is becoming a software engineer without CS degree, and I'll just not gonna lie, it's very hard. So if you are attracted to the high-paying jobs in the tech industry, I'm not saying that I am getting a very high compensation right now, but I have surely opened the door to it. And if you are attracted as well, that's great. But just be prepared that you have to learn much more than what you're taught at school. I'm not talking about Bentley. It's basically even for CS majors. So that's why I think the most important thing is that you have to be self-motivated. And I'm just going to cut straight to the point. First of all, let's start from the school. So I think these are the three most important courses I have learned in my master at Bentley. I'm not sure like if the CIS, the bachelor course, do you have any kind of similar course like this?
Yeah, we still teach. You haven't been gone that long. We still teach Python, teach Java in the undergraduate program, and we also teach Python a lot too.
Yeah. Python is great. Okay, sure.
And
so
people take database, and people still take the networking courses.
Yeah. Actually,
So
I'm not sure how many people in today's session are actually interested in working as a software engineer. But I'll just continue. So yeah, the Java course serves a great introduction to static strong type programming language, and the database fundamentals course would provide you a basic knowledge of how to design a database, and it's very important to know how to draw out the relationships between different entities, because it turns out that the system design interview, it's basically pretty much the same thing as drawing these kind of diagrams. And yeah, computer networking fundamentals, basically it's great that if you know how the internet works, it helps to reduce your uncertainty and fear of the technology. So these are the three courses, but but that's not enough. So I have listed some of the other resources here. So there's one called Foundations of Programming Fundamentals by Simon Allardyce. He's a very engaging instructor. Actually, I can wait. So I think this course is actually free. No, it's not free, but you can take a preview of it, and he's a very engaging instructor. Probably not the same type of what we usually, met in school. But yeah, so I have listed these courses that I personally have taken, and I have benefited a lot from them.
what language is that class? Was that Python or Java or something else?
It's actually JavaScript, but
JavaScript.
it actually didn't matter, but it's JavaScript. Yeah. So the other resource I have is that take the courses from the learning path on LinkedIn Learning or ProSite. So so actually you can see, actually LinkedIn Learning is also not free, but I think it's
actually, I think LinkedIn Learning is available to Bentley students.
That's great. Yeah. Then definitely definitely grab the opportunity to take a look at it. So they have this learning path here. Basically different paths for becoming a different type of developer. And in each of these courses, you basically there's more than one project that you can tinker with. And my tip is that find some entry-level projects to start working on, and then you need to create a personal GitHub account, and then push these projects to your GitHub for further exposure, and later try intermediate level projects, which LinkedIn Learning also have provided some of these courses. Yeah, so the other website is called ProSite, which is even more technical. Wait. So this one is actually even more technical. I'm using my wife's account, but it's basically for CS and industry professionals to further learn deeper into the technology, and it has even more resource and deeper courses. So it's definitely I'm sure you guys know Coursera and other MOOC platforms, but those are good. They are very great resource, but it's actually more on the academic side. But when companies hire software developers, they actually need you to have more hands-on experience on projects and industry level standards. So that's why I recommend those. And I also recommend starting from HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for front-end developer. The reason I recommend front-end web development is that the feedback is instant. Like if you change some code in HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, you can instantly see the difference on the web browser. That provides an instant feedback, which hopefully can keep you interested and moving on. But feel free to learn backend projects as well. So the third thing I recommend learning is so these two are also courses from LinkedIn Learning, which I don't think any school teach this, but I think they are important for system and workflow in almost all companies. All software companies use Git for version control. So it'll be great to onboard if you already know Git. And you can use Git for your personal projects to push to your GitHub. And also Unix Essential Training is a great course for learning about the system level terminal commands and stuff like that. So
Max, I want to point out, I put in chat for everyone, for the students, a link to the page that describes how you can access LinkedIn Learning for free through your Bentley account. Since Max recommended it, and it's a resource from Bentley that you have available to you, I want to make sure everybody knows how to access it. So please grab it when you can. And if you could put that link in the chat, from chat on your webpage, then people can see it when they watch the video. So can you grab it from
which
chat?
Link?
I put a link in chat. Can you just paste it in?
What link? My presentation or?
No, I put a link in the chat window to Bentley's LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
If you could paste that in, then when somebody watches the video, they'll see the page because they won't see it in chat. If you could just paste that in briefly in a new tab.
Wait. So you mean like this?
Yeah. Could you put that up in the browser so we can see the page?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Perfect. This way, for people who are watching the video later, they can see that
Yeah.
they
You can
they'll see the link.
probably.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So you can probably log in here with your student account. So yeah. Um, so I have listed some basic courses. I definitely recommend you guys checking it out. And if you are interested, I will have a lot more courses that I could personally recommend if you are interested further. And then I list some online communities that are helpful in landing a job. So the first one is actually a Reddit subreddit, CS career questions, for generating information and resume comparison. So if you are graduated from a CIS major, I think it's totally fine. But a lot of people who are looking for software engineer jobs, I see some of their resumes actually have listed unrelated information like business analyst experience on their resume, which I know they are helpful, but actually for a software engineer job, it's actually not that helpful. It could probably be better if you can list your GitHub projects there. And so my point is that to make your resume look as much as technical as possible, to match what the recruiters at tech companies to match their profile. So the other website I need to recommend is recode.com, which is actually it's just for practicing interview questions. I personally don't like it, but major companies does that for interviewing. And if your resume has hit the bar that they are interested, and if at that point, if you just start to prepare for the interview questions, that's probably too late. So if you are actually interested in a software engineer job, probably you should start practicing from now on, and then you can have a much slower pace and a much more comfortable pace in the curve as you move on. And then, of course, Glassdoor for taking a look at the interview questions. So I'm going to share my learning curve here. So the first part is school, watching online resources and mimicking amateurish projects without knowing much what is going on there. But that's perfectly okay. Just let it sleep and keep revisiting the projects you've built. And at some point, you would probably realize something makes sense. And it just keeps that pattern for a while until you've reached some level that a lot of things suddenly make sense to you. And then you realize that you can be a software engineer like other CS majors. No problem. There's no mystery there. And that's what I was trying to say. Don't get demoralized if you didn't immediately figure out something. Just let it sleep and keep going. Yeah, basically that's what I want to share today. And I hope, actually I have one more website. It's called Safari Books. So, which is OReilly online media. So if you go to the Bentley, the library for looking for technical books, you probably have seen some books published by OReilly. And this is the online learning platform for O'Reilly, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Bentley has that. Probably not, but it's super helpful for checking out the latest trends and information, as well as. So if you, let's say if you want to learn Python, they have different format of the resource. You have books and the videos. You can actually check out the videos here and then start learning if you feel like a video is better. So yeah, that's O'Reilly Learning, online learning platform. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Could you stop sharing so we can see you?
Yeah. Let me just stop sharing. Wait.
There you go.
So I think I forgot to share my experience at Kayak. Basically, it's pretty bad. Last year, our traffic dropped 80% because nobody's traveling. We are a travel meta search company, so we had several rounds of layoffs last year, but actually none of the software engineers got affected, which I was pretty appreciative, and I feel I'm pretty lucky. And besides that, Kayak was a great company. We have 15 holidays every year and 20 PTO days, besides other perks. And yeah, any questions?
Next questions for Max.
What would you say your, day of the life of working at Kayak would be?
Yeah, sure. So at Kayak, we have a monolith, a huge repo that includes everything, the front end and back end, which is pretty painful because you have to use Git to pull the entire repo, the updated commits every day to build and to start developing. But my work is 70% focused on the front end. So we used React.js, TypeScript, and yeah, that's for the front end. In the back end, it's Java. So it's pretty, it's nothing super fancy, but if you are actually, I'm not sure, Jack, are you interested in the backend or front end?
I was working with SQL primarily when I was doing freelance work, so I'm more experienced with the backend, but between the two, I enjoy both.
Cool. Yeah, so I think it's pretty standard. I think what you learn at school definitely helps. That's why I think if you can get your resume polished and to open the door for interviewing, your chance is actually pretty much the same as other CS major students. Yes.
Sarah, you came on. Sarah, were you gonna ask something? Who else has a question for Max? I'll ask you the same thing I asked Sajan. Which parts of your Bentley experience were most beneficial for you?
Yeah, so my tutoring experience at Sandbox definitely helped me a lot with my communication with other coworkers, as well as my behavioral interview. When I have those kind of behavior interviews, I think the experience helped me a lot. The other thing is what I list in the PowerPoint, the 3 core technical courses. I was pretty good at it, and they actually saved me a lot of time because they helped me build a great fundamental knowledge of programming, and you'll be surprised how many companies actually ask that those kind of fundamental questions, which you literally learn at school, and they will ask. So a solid understanding of those definitely help, and I think Bentley provided those courses that helped me a lot.
Cool. Sure, what's your question? I know you've got one.
Sorry, Professor, are you calling on me or?
Yeah, I said usually at this point in these things, you have a question, so I figured I'd call on you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I don't know, cause like I don't think I'm able to do to work as a software engineer, cause like what I want to do is like I know some coding knowledge, and I want to like apply those like technical knowledge in business like business problems. So I guess I'm more leaning towards to be like a IT consultant or like a business analyst. So but I think like I know that for some of the business analyst positions, they require like technical interviews. So I guess like the Lead Code website and also the LinkedIn Learning that Max just shared was very helpful for me. And yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, actually I want to add yeah, so you Cheryl, you mentioned that you don't think you can, but I think you can. Everybody here can. It's just a matter of whether you want to be or not. The best part of this career path is that everything is actually online, so you have other resources. If you can just take a look, if you're interested, and you can take a look at what I have shared. If you can actually complete those, you are pretty much in the door. Yes, so everybody can, I think. It's just a matter of interest and motivation.
Thank you. I'll like dig a little bit more in that area.
Have you had to interview anyone yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. But I never, ask tricky questions. So mostly I just ask basic interview questions I can find online.
I was gonna say, what is a technical interview like?
Yeah. Actually, I can. Tomorrow I have a Facebook onsite, and next week I have a Google onsite. Actually, I can. Actually, different companies have different schedule and the type of questions they ask at interviews. Actually, I can share a little bit more if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I can just, I think you are recording, right? But if you're just sharing it.
Hold on. Why don't you stop sharing your screen until you're ready to show us what you want us? You didn't miss a thing. All right, keep going. Yeah, so it's interesting that different companies have different styles for the kinds of questions that they ask you. And you've given us some great resources for the kinds of sites that you might use to prepare for them. Do they often give you a language requirement and say code this in Python or code this in Java or code this in?
Most companies don't care about language. You can use anyone you are comfortable with.
Actually, I have a question. So for like the technical interviews that you mentioned, is it like so like we open a Google Doc with another like recruiter, and then like he or she just watch you like coding, and you kind of like just like walk through the problem with him or her, or is it another format?
Yeah. Actually, different companies use different products. So Google actually used their own interview platform, which is similarly to a Google Doc. You cannot run code there, and basically the interviewer copied a question and paste there, and then you start writing the solution like you are on a whiteboard, and then after you have a solution, the interviewer will ask you to explain your steps, and then you will have to sort of run it with your mouse, like you have to explain and test and demo, and yeah, that's for Google. But other companies have used other platforms like CoderPad, HackerRank, those kind of platforms that can actually run code, and that would be a bit easier. But yes, from my personal experience with Google, it's pretty pleasant. There's no pressure, and yeah, so don't need to worry about that.
Gotcha. Thank you. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Other questions for either Max or Seijun today?
Yeah, for Max, have you ever heard of or participated in the Google Fubar challenge?
No, but I've heard of it. Some people who did great on those challenges would get invited to the interview. For me, I was reached out to by a recruiter, so I did not participate in those kind of challenges.
Because I did them. I participated in a challenge a year or two ago, and I got the email of some recruiter in Google. I just wanted to know like the impact that I would actually have on trying to get a job. Would you say that people are actively hired through the FUBA program?
I think they are regularly checking the participants, but after that, after that, you have to do the similar process as I do. So basically, you have to have another on-site interview again, and then yeah, it's basically the same experience. But if you are great at doing that challenge, you probably don't need to worry about too much about the on-site questions.
One thing I don't think you told us, I'm assuming many of you are familiar with Kayak as a travel site, right?
Yes.
What aspect of which part of the application have you worked on? Like, should I think of you every time I buy an airplane ticket?
Yeah. I'm on the UI team. So I mentioned I work mostly on the front end. So basically, many things you can see when you hit kayak.com are built by me, and we sometimes do own projects. So like there's a project called Kayak Guide, which is live on the internet, which it allows people to create a personalized guide for different destinations, and yeah.
So does Kayak have different data? I assume they must have access to the same data that other travel sites have, right?
Yeah. For the data, actually, we on the back end we have something called a spider, which basically crawls the data from different travel agencies and airline websites. Yes, we don't own the data. We are just meta search company. So yes.
Thank you. Any other questions before we begin to wrap up?
Yeah, I do have a question for
Okay, Alice,
Max.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I was curious about how did you find out you are passionate about the software developer job? I know a lot of people in MSDI program, actually, some of them are more into the business analytics, and some may like you to become a software developer. So how did you find out which path you were more leaning to?
Yeah, I guess it also depends on your because for me, my undergraduate major was engineering, so I was not too I was already having some experience with those kind of engineering projects, and then so I remember I have shared a course like the one called this one. If you actually go to, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen anymore, but you probably remember that I have shared a course called the Foundations of Programming. If you actually go to check out that course, and if you actually go to listen to the voice of that instructor, you will probably get, engaged and intrigued. And I think many people hate programming or software development because that they were not able to meet interesting instructors, I think. And I think that does play a major impact on how much we like a major. So yeah. Also, I said I recommend working on front-end development projects because the feedback was instant. And if you get feedback, you do have a sense of achievement as well as satisfiedness. So that's what it kept me moving on to where I am, I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Sarah, can I put you on the spot to show us the info about next week's speakers?
Yeah, definitely. Just give me a quick second and I'll make sure I have it up.
So I want to, while Sarah gets that ready, I want to thank Max and Sagen for coming back and joining us in our virtual CIS Sandbox today to tell us what they've been doing, your advice and your practical suggestions for getting a job and succeeding in it, have been amazing. And I think for me, one of the best parts about this series is I get to reconnect with former tutors we haven't seen for a while. So it's good to see you guys both back here again. Sarah's putting up on the screen for next week. We have two guests, actually neither of whom were Sandbox former tutors, but both of whom have been doing cool things. Miles Chilson is a UX designer at Athena Health. He's also worked at the MIT AI lab. He's a user experience designer, and his big thing is any things that can be connected to the internet. So we'll be talking about Internet of Things kinds of things. And Greg Avola graduated from Bentley, I'm gonna guess 10 years ago. He was in a class of mine a long time ago, and I hadn't seen him for ages. I think I ran into him once at a Whole Foods. And he was the co-founder of a company called Untapped, doing, and he has an amazing career journey as well, because he started his own company that has had its own successes. So you can hear more about those guys next week. And then a couple more weeks to go, and we have someone coming in to talk about Internet of Things, and we have someone coming in from Twitter in a couple weeks, and of course we have Brian Shield from the Boston Red Sox coming in on April 6th to talk about what it's like to be the VP of IT for the Red Sox. So please come back and bring people to all of these, because your participation makes these conversations great. Thanks for sharing that. And thanks to everybody who came today. And stay safe, stay warm, and have a good afternoon. Thanks, everybody.